The title of the story is When I Saw My Name in Henna on a Lifeless Palm. This story goes back many years. My tired feet felt as if they were gliding on wheels, and smiles began to return to my empty lips. I was overjoyed by the luxury of love and the taste of success, but life doesn't always follow such a smooth path, does it? The landslide at Kurintar took everything away, sweeping it all into oblivion. Our first meeting took place during the Shivaratri fair in our village. We stayed awake all night, etching the songs of love into our hearts. She was studying for her bachelor's degree in the village, while I had moved to Kathmandu in search of a job. Meetings only happened when the stars aligned, offering us rare opportunities. Even though our eyes were far apart, we nourished our fragile imaginations through daily video calls. We constantly nudged each other forward, sometimes showing immaturity when we felt the need for love, almost like beggars. There were no doubts between us, no need to be modern. We could simply follow our hearts by holding onto each other's hands. That's why we never had to act half awake and half scared in our relationship. Then came the news that I had been selected for the Armed Police Force's Disaster Management Unit. I was overjoyed after completing the rigorous training that allowed me to join the force. My parents were proud that their son had secured a job, and she was over the moon because her lover was now employed. We had even set a wedding date for the end of the upcoming month of Asar, June-July. After joining the force, there was no time for meetings. I kept reassuring her that we would meet just before the wedding. She would agree, but couldn't hide her sorrow. Monsoon had begun. While farmers were busy planting rice, we were busy with rescue and search operations. The Ministry of Home Affairs had already issued various notices, and committees had been formed in different districts according to weather forecasts. Was stationed at the headquarters in Kathmandu but was deployed to the highway near Kurintar for a rescue mission. I didn't tell anyone at home about my assignment, not even her. As the month of Asar slipped by, I only had brief conversations with her due to my busy schedule. I kept postponing the wedding to Mangsir, November-December. On the morning of Sawan 1, around July, the rain was pouring down heavily. The rain had started at the end of Asar and showed no signs of stopping. We were tirelessly engaged in rescue operations. Our mission was to save lives and keep the highways open, ignoring hunger and thirst. That morning she sent me a picture on Messenger of both her hands adorned with henna, bearing my name. She playfully scolded me, saying she had stayed up all night to apply it. I replied with a love reaction, pretending I was late heading to headquarters. When in reality, I was already deployed. That day the sky was pitch black. I thought I might be able to talk to her on the phone if the landslide stopped for a while, but no, the weather showed no mercy. The empty laughter of nature echoed as landslides cascaded onto the roads. The landscape looked as haunting as a skeleton. I felt an overwhelming sense of dread. Why couldn't nature show even a little sympathy? After my shift, I returned to the camp at Kurintar to rest. Just then, we received news that a microbus from Gorkha heading towards Kathmandu had been swept into the Trishuli River by a landslide from the mountain above. I hurriedly left the camp. Along the way, I learned that the microbus was from my own village. I called my parents, but the phone didn't connect. I tried calling her, but she was unreachable. My heart sank with fear, wondering if it could be my own family or someone I knew. I couldn't calm down and my mind was in a frenzy. Still, I had to fulfill my duty. As soon as I arrived at the scene, everyone started looking at me and saying, "It's the bus from your village, sir." The soldiers were descending into the Trishuli River with the help of ropes. "Please don't go down, sir," they advised, but my heart wouldn't listen. With life jackets and other equipment, we searched for the microbus using a boat. It was likely near the shore as the accident hadn't occurred long ago. We found pieces of the microbus that had been carrying 17 passengers. We also found the bodies. By then, it was almost evening. I was sitting on the shore, exhausted. Among the identified bodies, 2 or 4 were of my close relatives. The bodies were lined up, one body had a hand sticking out, palm visible. I approached that hand suddenly, and when I saw it, my own name was written in henna on that lifeless palm, along with the watch I had given her as a token of my love, wrapped around her wrist. I started crying uncontrollably. The other soldiers came over and pulled out the plastic covering her face, but I couldn't bear to look. I kept caressing her delicate hands with my name written on them. The henna was fading, the watch had stopped, and her phone was permanently out of reach. I took out her photo from my wallet and started crying even more. Everyone noticed and tried to console me, but I was in no state to accept comfort. I didn't have the right to cry even when the love of my life was snatched away prematurely because I was in uniform. I had to help identify others who had passed away, just like her. I had to continue rescuing others from possible disasters. Once you dedicate yourself to public service, you have to consider everyone your own. There's no time to grieve over your own losses. That evening, despite being told to rest, I couldn't sit idly by while others completed the identification process. My uniform was soaked, half by the Trishuli River, and half by my tears. All the strength in my body had gone to sleep, but I kept performing my duties in a daze. The next day, after ensuring the bodies were handed over to their families, only a few of us returned to camp. I couldn't bear to watch the Trishuli River cruelly drag away my dreams, my name written in henna, my heart, and my soul. As soon as I reached the camp, I received a call from my parents. My mother's weak voice and my own sobs made our conversation unbearable. My parents were with her family. From what I understood, she had come to Kathmandu to surprise me with henna and green bangles, thinking I was there. But before reaching Kathmandu, fate brought us together, but her hands weren't meant to wear green bangles for our wedding. Her lips no longer had the question, "When will we get married?" I whispered, "You left me, Nimraya, now who will fast for me during Sawan? Only your prayers for my long life would have sufficed, but you left me with a short life." That night I couldn't sleep. Regret and sorrow weighed heavily on me. What if I had taken leave and gone to see her myself? Would she still be alive today? Throughout the night a wave of grief surged within me, carrying her away from the shores of my eyes like the Trishuli River. She came to me in countless dreams, fluttering on the wings of birds, only to disappear with a sweet melody. Perhaps this is how love ends. Dreams of living and growing old together, or living life side by side for eternity, are shattered. How can I part from the love of my life? How can I cross this wave of memories? Every year, when dark clouds rumble in the sky during the monsoon season, the currents of the Trishuli River crash against my heart, and her image overwhelms in my eyes.